Do we have to decide?
I got 13.
My brother's talking about a little bit. Because you have to go a couple months. So the way you can
I also don't want to get hurt.
Okay. I think we're all good.
I just started. What is Lua or HCM organization?
Why is every other team together and ours is separate to the cosmic wind? It just means we're the best. Look at how efficient these guys are. Yeah, bring your chairs over here. Bring your chairs. Jesus, these are helmets.
This is going in
Okay,
So like it has to take into like conditions of the environment.
Okay, guys, let's keep going. I think we'll see if we can get
You gotta make it analyze the
chances anyone else. Don't put the other team basically bad.
Okay.
We are like the best team here. I have at least 3 people on my team who know what they're doing and do it well.
Well, that's great for you because I've got.
I'm gonna re-add this actually.
The other 2 are here that might have been
You know.
That's true. I don't know. Well, maybe not. Also not very nice.
What? I was here at 10 and 11. Yes, I was. I showed up.
Twice.
Okay, guys, listen up. I need you to be quiet. We're gonna kind of get started. I hope that Chinook. I think we have the viewers. And I'll chat. Mason, I'm waiting for you.
Are you waiting on me? You're the one's talking.
Be quiet. Okay, so welcome to Kickoff. Hopefully we have CCH and Chinook with us, which I assume we do have. You can probably post some stuff in the chat and we'll maybe check that in a minute or two. It looks like we should be going right now. Hopefully you guys had a chance to watch those videos that we launched with. What I'm going to basically give you guys a rundown is just go through the game. I'll read through the game, and then I will also give you a quick field tour just in kind of my modeling software. And then hopefully we can kick off this kickoff. Robotics is hard. I know that from past experience. It takes a lot of work, lots of energy. You're going to run into stumbling blocks along the way. You're going to have days where you're pretty frustrated. You're going to have days where you work on something for a long period of time and it might not work, or you can't figure out how things are going to work. Hopefully I'm a resource to all three teams to kind of help you guys get through those problems, and hopefully your mentors will help you as well. We do have 6 weeks to do this, and then we'll plan a competition after that. I'm also willing to come to schools if I need to help out other teams. So whatever we need to kind of make everyone successful and get to a competition point. Okay, I'm just going to kind of minimize my window here and just get us into the actual game itself. So let's get that. Thank you, guys. I just had that froze for my guys. Okay, so let's get to here. Hopefully this is what you guys can see. It looks funky on my end, so I'm hoping this looks okay. Could one of my guys get on the YouTube channel and just make sure that this is visible on their end? Let me know if there's any problems, okay? So, let's go through the game first. So, I'll talk about, first of all, what is included in the kit of parts this year for this. All teams should have access to these things. 2 Arduino Unos. I think that we have some clones, so we're calling them high-quality clones. I think that they're going to be okay. We've learned some things through preseason that sometimes certain clones do not work that well with certain shields. I don't think it's going to be an issue because we are not going to use motor shields. We're going to use motor controllers. So I think that that's going to be okay. We have 9-volt battery packs that should be available to each team. Okay. We also, I think I've included, is 12-volt battery pack, which holds 8 AA batteries. You're going to obviously have to control, or you're going to have to be able to power wirelessly controller and a robot. So in order to do that, you need 2 different battery packs. You can use those. We have small gear DC motors. Okay, these ones are the ones that are, once you get your kit of parts, you're going to see they're going to have a yellow gearbox on them. Okay, we have some high torque DC motors that were donated by one of our team members from their parents from Princess Auto, so that's a nice help. If you want a little more power, they're going to be available. We have an Arduino joystick module. Okay, obviously they consist of 2 potentiometers and 1 button. If you need help with that, you'll be okay. We do have a rangefinder for any kind of autonomous tasks you may want to do. We have 2 motor controllers. Yes, you're going to be provided with 2 L2, 9, 8, and motor controllers. They're the red object probably in your kit of parts. You're going to have 2 Wi-Fi modules. I've opted to go with Wi-Fi rather than Bluetooth. Hopefully that doesn't cause too much problems. If groups want to go with Bluetooth, I may allow that to happen. We'll just have to have a separate conversation on that. We'll see about that. That might be a potential option. I kind of eliminated it at the last minute, but I may allow it. Okay. Teams didn't order parts, but I might be able to find enough Bluetooth modules if teams are keen on that. I've had a little more success with Wi-Fi actually in the past, so we'll go with that. You do have 2 servo motors that you have available to you, okay, to do whatever tasks you want. A breadboard that can help with your kind of wiring. And you should be provided with 15 male to female, 15 male to male, and 15 female to female breadboard wires in your kit. Ping pong balls, I haven't put in the kits myself, but you will have access to at least 5 balls per group. Okay. Some other expectations before we get into the specifics of the actual game itself. Access to 3D printing material will be available to all. It's expectation that the controller and chassis of the robot are 3D printed or crafted from wood. I only put the crafted from wood in there for the circumstance where someone may be in a bind kind of last minute. My hope is that we are able to get most of our products created through 3D printed parts and not have to go to wood, but it is an option, and it's sometimes a viable option. I know that we can make some pretty high quality wood parts sometimes as well. And if you want to go that route, it's fine. It just kind of eliminates a little bit of our CADing ability, I think. So ideally you have 3D printed parts, but if you're a bind and you need to make something quickly or running out of time, wood parts would be acceptable. All other parts are not going to be allowed. Okay. Robot requirements, it says the chassis, controllers, and other components must be either 3D printed or crafted from wood. Same kind of thing. Wheels can be either 3D printed, crafted from wood, or may use Lego wheels. I am going to allow Lego wheels, and I didn't provide any of these. Most people have access to some kind of Lego wheels. If you get in a crunch, any teams from CCH Chinook, and you cannot find Lego wheels and you'd like to use Lego wheels, I will find a way to get them to you. But Lego wheels are, I'm going to allow, that's the only Lego part I'm going to allow. If you look here, it says no other Lego parts are allowed. I will allow Lego wheels, okay, and that's it, okay? But my preference would probably be you still consider 3D printing wheels or things like that. But I thought I might make an allowance for Lego wheels, might help some of our traction for some of our robots as well. But I don't want us to start crafting robots just out of Lego. That's not our goal. Kind of eliminates the CAD piece of the puzzle. Double-sided tape, screws, nuts, and bolts or hot glue may be used to fasten parts together. So I gave several options there for you to put things together. You can use those to fasten things. So those basic kind of connecting things you can use. Because sometimes there's a time where you might just need to glue something or double-side tape something. Sometimes when you 3D print stuff, it just doesn't snap together, okay? No other outside materials will be allowed without mentor approval. If there is some kind of outside material that you want and I have not included on here, I just made this thing up, so there could be some oversight by me. If that's the case, we would need all mentors would have to agree that that's an acceptable material. So it would have to be communication between Josh, myself, and Lance for sure in order for that to happen, okay? Maximum robot size, I decided to go everything in centimeters rather than inches. I originally had some of this in inches, and you can see I obviously did not delete the inches sign here when I was switching that. Apologize. But I decided to go 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Robot may extend upward after the start of the match to a maximum of 25 centimeters. So you can extend up if you prefer to extend up. You'll see once we get to the game that might be something worthwhile. Required software, you need Arduino Uno software. I think the desktop version works a little bit better than the Windows Store version. That's my recommendation. You need some kind of CAD software, Tinkercad, AutoCAD, I don't really care. You could use Inventor, you could use, what's the other one, Fusion. Doesn't matter to me, and I'm okay with this competition if you're just like kind of lazy in your CAD work and you just want to do Tinkercad. Tinkercad is a nice software to work in if you're sending to a 3D printer. If there is a shortage in 3D printers from any of the teams, just let me know. I do have 2 3D printers at home as well that I might be able to lend out for competition if needed. Okay, so software, it's got the installation instructions here. I'm just going to kind of just read through the challenge now. We're going to be programming in C++ with Arduino. Here's the challenge. Let's get into it. Okay. Teams will compete in 2 team alliances. So unlike First Robotics where you compete with 3 teams on a team when you're in competition, you're going to have 2 team alliances per match. So it'll be you and one other robot will be in a match together. Those will be randomly selected and we'll kind of like a round robin like you would do in a first competition, except there'd be 3 robots, okay? With wireless robots, so your robot needs to be wired. You cannot just like use one Arduino and just run a big long wire to your controller. We're not going to allow that, okay? You need to have wireless robots. You're going to need to do that. To move ping pong balls, there's going to be 15 ping pong balls from the center area to the opposing team's high or low goal. There's both a high and low goal. Okay, field size is going to be 3 meters by 3 meters. Each goal scored in the high goal, which we're going to call the trough, okay, is worth 5 points. Each goal scored in the low goal, the gutter, okay, is worth 1 point. Okay? Ping pong balls will be lined up in the center of the field in dodgeball format. Okay, we're going to take a look at that in a minute. Okay, starting in the goal crease, robots will move out upon start and try to push, carry, shoot as many ping pong balls as possible into the opposing team's goal. So you're going to try and score as many points as you can. Okay, the first 15 seconds of the 2-minute period will be autonomous. So you got 15 seconds of autonomous. Okay, the autonomous rules are this. Okay, if teams successfully cross the center line in the autonomous period, they will receive 3 points. So you're going to receive 3 points if you can get your robot to cross that center line in that autonomous period. Autonomous period be kicked off by, because we don't have a timer or a match play, autonomous will have to be kicked off by a button. You will be allowed to hit one button that's going to start your autonomous mode. Okay, so I didn't specify that in here, but that is how autonomous will go. When I say it's autonomous, you will be allowed to hit one button on your controller. Okay, so that is something that you can kind of consider how you're going to make that happen. Okay, beyond that, if a team successfully crosses the center line and stops without hitting any walls before the end of autonomous, they will receive 5 points. So you get 3 points if you cross the center line. You get 5 points if you can cross the center line and stop before you hit the opposing wall, basically. Okay, so you may want to consider looking at your rangefinder for that piece of the puzzle. I don't know how that's going to work with those balls, but you guys are going to have to solve those problems on your own. Okay, there's ways you can think about doing that. Okay, in the last 15 seconds of the game, a warning sound will denote the end game. Okay, in the end game, teams may attempt to hang off the middle crossbar. You're going to see what that is in a minute. It's 20 centimeters height. Okay, so it's going to have a 20 centimeter height middle crossbar that you can attempt to hang off of. You need to levitate yourself off the ground to score points in that section of the game. Okay, in the last 15 seconds of the game, the warning sound will denote the end game. I just went through that. Teams that successfully get their robot off the ground will receive additional 10 points for each robot that is off the ground, and a bonus 10 points for both robots being off the ground. So you could get a total of 30 points. One robot's hanging, 10 points. Two robots hanging, 30 points. So it's a bonus if you get both your robots up. Okay? You could consider maybe making a mechanism to pull up other robots. I don't know. Okay, your call. Okay? The team who successfully scores the most points in the 2-minute period wins. One human player from each team can place scored balls back in the field of play through the chutes on the side if they choose. Okay, this is going to make it so that there's an unlimited amount of points you can score. You have a human player, one human player on your team. You'll have one driver on your team. The human player can refeed in balls that are scored on your goal so that we can keep that game going for as many points as you want. And you'll see what that looks like. Okay? The team who successfully scores the most points in the 2-minute period wins. One human player from each team can place scored balls back on the field. I already did that. Tournament will consist of a round robin with all teams pairing with each other of the other teams once. After the round robin, the top 4 teams will become alliance captains and select their alliance partner in cascading order for a best-of-3 playoff. We've kind of run that format in FRC for a number of years. It's a very similar format. Likely we will have a system, I didn't specify it on this sheet, we'll have a system where if your team wins a match, you get 2 rank points. We're not going to have, I don't know if we're going to have any bonus rank points. I never thought about that for autonomous period or the hang. I might consider that, but we'll have a ranking system of ways you can get rank points. Rank points in the end are going to be how you become an alliance captain. Okay, I should have probably specified that in here. I never really got around to doing that. Okay. Playoffs will continue until winning alliance emerges the victor. Okay, and so it'll probably be like the best of, like it says here, best-of-3 playoff. Okay. Playing field is in this sheet that looks like this, but I'm going to give you a little bit more of a tour here. Let's go to the field. So this is kind of what the field looks like. So here's a basic overview of the field. Hopefully you guys can see this. I hope my head's not too much in the way in the OBS software. Let's just mute me.
It looks good now.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just go with that. Okay, so when we take a look at the field here, guys, okay, this is your basic field setup. So you can see the low goal, okay? We have 3 troughs on each end. Okay, so it's not just a straightforward trough that you can just fire balls into. You're going to have to manipulate the balls enough to get into those low goals. Okay, so that's how you're going to score the low goal is there. Okay, and then you have, what do I call it, the trough and the what else? Gutter. This is the gutter, sorry. These are the gutters. Gutter score, and then the trough is the top here. The trough, we will build this kind of game piece here. I think what's likely going to happen is we are probably going to have this floor. There won't be a flooring. It'll just be whatever floor we choose. So we can build these 2 separate sides and just kind of put walls up as we need. So if we want to run this competition in multiple schools, it'll be easier to transport. So we'll probably build these 2 ends specifically. The field itself, the entire structure, is going to be 3 meters by 3 meters. Not perfectly shaped there, but we're going to get as close to that as we can. I don't know if I decided to be this to be 3. We'll chat about that. Some important measurements for you are going to be, this is going to be 20 centimeters. And I think that this top shelf here will be around that 20 centimeter mark too. Just so you have an idea of how high you need to get balls up to. I think these will both be 20 centimeters. And I apologize for not truly providing dimensions for the field 100% outside of the 3 meters by 20 centimeters. We'll try and get this as close to scale as we can. Okay. Balls obviously are going to be started just like this. So balls will be in the middle, just like you can see here. That's going to be a starting point. Some challenges that you may face in the autonomous period is getting, if you're using a rangefinder, how are you going to get across here? Use that rangefinder to stop with those ping pong balls in the way. You're going to have to think that through. Okay? Those are going to be just some things you got to think about. Okay? When we re-enter the balls into the playing field, so the human player, once balls are scored here, we'll have a way at this end of the field to collect these balls. Probably looks like here. We'll just be able to get them in here. If they're pushed in there, you just grab those human players. We'll be able to drop the ball back into here. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so I think you'll probably have an idea about how to score this and how to kind of work through this game. That's your kind of basic tour of the field. Fairly straightforward. Obviously, the end game, we're going to be trying to hang off this middle bar here that's sitting at 20 centimeters. Okay, do you have to do all those things? Do you have to do autonomous? Do you have to hang? Don't have to do any of that if you don't want. Okay, we're looking at ways that you can make your robot as good as you can with the limited amount of equipment that you are given. Okay, Michael, did you say you're on the? Has someone got the YouTube channel up? Is there any questions from the chat, guys?
Yes. One of the questions. Let me get that.
I'll just try and take a look at questions from the chat, see if I can answer some.
For CNC, what about making parts out of aluminum? Lance Rosen.
Aluminum. That might be a discussion. I worry about if we get too many real heavy robots. And I also worry about like equality amongst teams if we start one team's able to access CNC and other teams are not. I know we don't have currently, we're not set up to cut aluminum right now. I know at Chinook. I know in the past we've had CNA do our aluminum cutting. I assume Chinook is probably in the same boat. My preference is that we would use 3D printed parts, but we may be able to have a conversation about that. Okay, if it's lighter aluminum, maybe we could allow that. I think that we have more flexibility for multiple designers if we just 3D print, but that's my opinion. We could chat about that. Any other questions?
Right now, there's
nothing up there. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, just post them in the chat. Got Matthew running my chat. I don't know what else I have here. Let me just take I want to go back to the game just for a second, and I'll wait for, if you have any other questions, post them in the chat and we'll get back to that. Let's take a look at the season layout. The way we've kind of have this set up is hopefully we've established kind of teams already. If not, you could establish teams right now. Our kickoff we just did a minute ago. Okay, obviously kickoff plans changed when our restrictions didn't allow us to watch the first kickoff. I'm looking for us to be done March 17th, which I believe is 6 weeks from now. Okay. I don't know. I'm likely for a few weeks going to open up probably Monday through Thursday for my kids to work. But then I might go back to 2 days a week after that. We'll see. We obviously have the break in there as well, so we kind of have a week off in between, but I'm hoping we can work around that. There's no reason why teams can't meet. Obviously, try and follow COVID protocols. If your team wants to meet outside of regular robotics meeting time, there's no reason why you can't do that. Yeah, the competition date, I don't think we've had that set in stone yet. We'll try and come up with a date that works. So we're not sure about that, but I'd like robots to be complete by March 17th. First went away from the timeline prior to last competition, but there is a problem with that. Sometimes you get lots of people procrastinating about trying to get your robot done. We could be flexible though. Yeah.
Samar Pitt has a question. I don't know. What about goaltending, and what are the rules about roughing up other bots? I.e., can we just ram them?
No, obviously, just like a regular first competition, if you're going,
Same battle bots.
this is
There's
not.
also support in the chat for the roughing up of bots.
So it is not battle bots. A couple things. We are not trying to destroy other robots. If you're intentionally, you can block bots. There's no reason why you can't goaltend. If you take a look at, we have 2 robots, and we have 3 low goals, right? So if you want to try and block, sure, you can block. But ramming robots and doing anything that's going to try and dismantle another person's robot is prohibited. Obviously, when I put together a manual, my manual is 2 pages. Okay, first manual is 250 plus pages probably. Okay, so I haven't included everything like that, but obviously we are not battle bots. That's not your goal. Okay, I didn't put any specifications for bumpers or anything like that as well. You can, if you think that your robot needs protection from basic contact, you may want to put a little something there. But at the end of the day, our goal is not, we're working with light robots. Our goal is not to try and destroy other robots. But you can block those low goals if you want. You can only block, your robot won't be big enough to block 2 at a time. So, and the high goal is still an option. So defensively, you can do what you want there. Yeah?
Can we extend build season by a week because of the reading week and the fact that we all have IAs do the exact same week? The fact that half of us have IAs.
For right now, we have it. For right now, that date is fine. Okay? For right now, we'll leave the date. If a lot of teams are pressed, then maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, does it matter? Or are you just gonna procrastinate more if you have a longer time period? Okay, so let's go through some other things. You can always call me. Okay, like I said, any kind of decisions. Obviously, I probably did miss something, and we might have to take a look at that aluminum option for cutting metal. These are small robots, remember, so 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters is not very big. But if we want to discuss rules, rule change will have to be okay by all 3 kind of at least mentors from all 3 teams before, if we want to change any rules, and I'm good with that. Some things that I want to talk about, some resources here. There's a reason why I put these resource links on this sheet as well. If you want to get a basic robot together that is going to be able to push balls, these tutorials here are going to be fine. Okay? These are just going to work. Okay? If you get to this tutorial, for example, I'm just going to kind of give you a basic heads up. I don't want to be predicting YouTube videos on here. But if you get further into this tutorial, scroll down. It starts with Bluetooth. Okay? But then we get down here, and it doesn't take long, and they start working with I skipped ahead here. They start working with the actual Wi-Fi modules, I think, eventually. This one looks like it's Bluetooth, but the same guy progresses if you get into it to, here's the Wi-Fi module. So if you want to bare bones, where do you start? If you want to start programming a robot that moves and pushes balls into the low goal, this tutorial will get you there with the parts you have already. Okay? It will get you there, guaranteed. The only difference here is you have 2 Unos instead of a Nano, but the pin numbers are the same. Pin numbers are the same. Yeah, Matt?
Tristan was asking, what about robots that use pistons or something to temporarily expand? Bradley asked, will we have access to the file of the arena, and one person just right now, Lance, said, thanks for all you've done setting this up. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no problem on that. So I don't see pistons in any of the parts. I didn't provide pistons. I apologize that I didn't have pneumatic systems. It's just power is going to be an issue for these robots and maintaining power and swapping out power. There's just no room on a small robot for us to have a compressor and a small tank that you could charge. I guess I could have thought that into this game, but it would have been a big kind of ask probably for me to kind of get the parts in place for a pneumatic system of any type to kind of probably function in here. You're probably going to be stuck and relying on your servos for things like the climb, things like that. There's no reason though. If you want to make a shooter, you might have enough robots to make a shooter of some type, or you might have enough motors, sorry, to make a shooter of some type. If you 3D design parts, okay, you might be able to get something in place like that. I'm not 100% sure what you guys are going to want to do. You have a couple servos, a couple things. If teams get really strapped for how they're going to use their parts, maybe I could look at adding some extra parts. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if there's some oversights. And definitely the file itself. Are you guys wanting the STL file? It's just I just really used Tinkercad to throw this together. I can send the STL to your groups, but I can definitely send this if you want that. And then you should be able to at least look at it it'll come to you probably in a format where you can't easily break it apart, but that's okay, I think, for being able to look around the field and have an idea. My group will try our best. I'll have a group working with Michael to try and put together a playing field as best we can. Okay? If you take a look at the document, I did provide at least some pictures of the basic idea of the field in the documentation when your group gets that as well. Okay? Anything else? Any other questions in the chat, guys?
There is a delay, so not any right at the moment.
Not any at the moment. Any in my group have any questions that we had that one question from Summer Pit, but looks like we have a few hands up. Lucha, what's your question?
How big is the playing field?
3 meters by 3 meters. It'll be right. It's right in the rules there. I'm gonna give you guys printouts of that in a second. Yeah, Riley, what's up? You guys are gonna all get a print of the Word document as soon as I'm done this video. Yeah.
Is there penalties if you put balls out of bounds?
No penalties for off the field. We'll just get the human players to put them in. If you shoot and miss, it goes out. I don't think there should be a penalty. There's not. Ping pong balls aren't that dangerous. I think we'll be okay. You'll have a human player that's just going to be probably chasing them across the floor. Okay. I don't think there's a benefit of putting a penalty in place for that. There will be penalties if you're trying to destroy robots. Yep.
Access to like resistance bands or like belts or some sort?
I have not thought about belts of any kind. I don't know yet. That would have to be a mentor discussion. I know I limited what I provided you with. And I left a lot of things up to 3D parts. I don't have anything there. I did allow double-sided tape. I don't know if you can make that into a belt. Okay. Any other questions in the chat? Matt, any other questions in the chat coming up?
No.
What you want?
Josh, any questions from the Chinook team? Josh, it'd be good to see a confirmation you guys are able to get in at least. Not 100% sure. I'm hoping so.
The only confirmation we have in chat is from CCH.
Yeah. If not, Josh should have to just kind of watch the video with his group, and that's okay.
There is one. Kelsey Nadu asked you, can you send us the updated Word document?
Yes, I can. The one that I sent earlier this week is exactly the same as this one, except for me getting rid of the inches. So the most up-to-date one, Kelsey, you might not have received that. Lance would have got that, but I can send that to you, Kelsey, in just 2 minutes. Yeah.
Joshua said I'm here, don't know if he's important to.
Okay, yeah, that's the mentor for.
And then, are there restrictions for controllers?
Vicky, you are provided
I
with.
didn't mean it.
So here's the deal. Actually, that's actually a good question. So, my thought on the controllers is very much this: is that you would hopefully, in my mind, you're hopefully designing something along these lines. Okay. Just a second. I'm answering another question. Okay. So, is hopefully you're going to design a wireless controller like this, and you're going to 3D print the controller module for that. You're going to 3D print a chassis for your robot, obviously wheels, things that are going to work. Okay. That's kind of like I said. This is kind of your bare bones, is what I would say. If you see tutorials, and you're going to find some tutorials there where you're going to see smartphone controlled robots. That might be a discussion we have, is if you want to go smartphone controlled and use, like MIT has like an app builder where you can sometimes do make yourself a Bluetooth app. I think that at that point, if teams are interested in that, I don't have it in the rules. If you're interested in Bluetooth and you want to do it Bluetooth that way, usually they're not Wi-Fi direct, that MIT app. If you wanted to do Bluetooth, I may allow that, and I may also allow so that you could have a smartphone controller instead. And I might be willing to allow you having a PC. There was some talk about a PC controller as well. I think that I'd probably be okay with those two things as a controller mechanism. But I think that I need to definitely have a conversation with my other mentors before I say 100% for sure on that right now. Okay, I don't think it's fair for me to just make that decision on my own right now in front of you, everyone. I think that that's going to be a conversation with the three teams. I might have a few people that have their hearts set on doing a control system through a laptop or a control system through a smartphone, and I don't see why that's a big issue, but I might have to have a conversation with the group. You definitely have the tools in place to make your controller by yourself. I hope that answers your question, Matt. I'm not sure.
They asked again in a kind of less polite way, so I don't know if it.
Read it out.
Read it.
It is pretty much, are there restrictions for controllers? He asked again after the answer.
Without a question mark this time.
Without a question mark.
Your dad, he literally said he doesn't know yet.
So when it comes to those things,
Yell at him through the screen.
my reference point to that is this. This is the parts you're allowed. Okay, at this point, this is the parts you're allowed.
I want to get to work.
Okay, that's the parts you're allowed. It says no outside other parts other than wood or PLA, basically, or 3D printed parts. So yeah, so at this point, if you asked it right now if you could use an Xbox controller, I'd say no. If we have a discussion amongst our mentors and we decide, sure, we're using an Xbox controller through your laptop, then at that point, we may open that up. Okay? At this point, I would say no. Until we have a discussion amongst the mentors. Yes?
Will the document will the document we're getting have a picture of the arena or something to reference?
You're getting this exact document in a minute.
Does it have a picture of the arena on it?
Yes, he's answered that.
Okay,
Yes. Okay? Any other questions in the chat?
No, just Joshua saying he has no question. That's the only question.
Okay. Any other my group, my mentors at the back, any questions from you guys?
No, I don't think he's important.
Okay, guys, listen, I know that some things that you're going to think about, okay? Just a final kind of comment, okay? There's probably some things that you had in your mind of the way you envisioned this competition or the way you envisioned being able to make or control your robot, okay? Just like FRC every year, though, when the game is announced and the rules are given, sometimes your thought of how you thought things were going to go, what controller you're going to use, whether you're going to use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever you decided, it might not be possible. Okay? And the whole point of a competition like this is not that you know what you're doing ahead of time, so you've been sitting at home making prefabs of things that you're going to reuse again. Just like you can't use the same robot every single year and just make a few little modifications on it. The rules are here. I can have discussions with mentors and there may be some flexibility in rules, but I don't want your approach to be, I want to do this, I need to contact Nevin and see if he can approve this. I want your focal point to be, this is what we've been given. I promise you've been given enough to solve these challenges. It might not be easy, but try and work with the parts you have. Try and work with the parts you've been given. And I'm wanting most of your parts to be fabricated 3D wise. We got lots of people in working on design. If you don't know design, Tinkercad takes anyone about 15 minutes to learn, and then you just have to be able to measure. Okay? If you want to use Inventor, we got a few kids that have been working on Inventor. They can probably do maybe some more advanced things. Okay, but you should be able to get by with what you have. Okay, the rules are there, the parts are there. Work with what you're given. That's the challenge. Okay? If it's in something that is a major oversight or needs to be added, I have no problem adding it after consulting the rest of the mentor group. Okay? Does that make sense? Any other questions, you guys? I'm excited for you guys to get going on this. Finally, a real challenge. Something that's going to be hard, but something that is going to be pretty cool once we get things going. Any other comments? Everyone good?
Nothing.
Yeah, no, mentors, at this point I'm just going to end the video, and then we can get our kit of parts and the rules passed out to our kids, and then I think we should be good from there. Good luck, every team, and have a good rest of your day, guys.